Hey folks, how's it going? So I had a few friends of mine mention to me about making a gear guide. So I'm gonna make one. It's not gonna be, really formal. I won't have links in the description to all this gear, and I might not mention all the brand names, but I'll go over what I take. And if you want anything that's a little bit more descriptive, or if you want to know exactly where I did get one of these items, just leave a comment in the comment section below, and I'll definitely figure that out for you, and I'll get back to you. So we'll just go ahead and get right into it. I figured I'd film it inside. It's just a much more controlled setting, especially with the weather that we're gonna have on this trip tomorrow morning. It's supposed to be, a lot of mix between rain and snow. Temperatures are gonna go up and down, so there's gonna be a lot of ice, and it's gonna be some pretty challenging weather to deal with, but we'll get through it. I'm hoping that I can still film in it. It's actually gonna be my first time out in this type of weather trying to film a video. Was supposed to go yesterday. The weather has been terrible. The weather was absolutely terrible again today. It would have made filming a nightmare, so we're leaving tomorrow morning. Okay, so let's get right into the gear guide. So obviously, depending on where you are in the world, depending on the climate, what time of year it is, how many people are going, and things like that, that will dictate what you need to carry. But for me, in the province of Newfoundland, Canada, where I live, we have a cold, wet weather climate. So we don't have like extreme cold temperatures. We have a lot of rain, and then it will drop to like -20, and then it will be +5, and it just fluctuates back and forth. So you always need to have like rain gear and things like that this time of year. So like I said, depending on where you are in the world, it's always going to dictate what you need to take with you. So starting with your person. This is the layer that I generally like to wear in the woods. My base layer, my skins essentially. So the clothing that is closest to my skin, I like it to be dry fit. So I have like a stretchy, quick dry material as my pants. And then my shirt is like a sport wear quick dry. And on your person, I always carry, I have a fire steel, right? And I have a Bic lighter. So two methods of starting a fire. The fire steel is generally what I go for first, and if you get yourself in like an emergency or a little bit more of an extreme scenario where you need to get a fire going ASAP, then the Bic lighter, it can save your life. It really can. Another thing I always have on me is just an EDC, an everyday carry pocket knife. It's a Spyderco foldable. Really reliable blade. Always have this with me. It's a tool more than anything, but in a pinch, you could use it as a weapon for protection. It's just, I always carry a knife all the time. So we'll work through our clothing first. One thing I highly suggest anybody to have with them in the woods is a pair of Gore-Tex socks. So these are great for when your boots get wet. So they go on over your sock, and then you put your foot in the boot. It doesn't matter how wet your boot is, or even if you're going through, ankle deep water, your feet will stay dry with Gore-Tex socks. Aside those, I'm going on a 1 to 2 day trip. Might end up being a 2-day trip. So I have 3 extra pairs of socks plus a pair on my feet. Some people go really overboard and take like, 3 or 4 pairs of socks for 1 day, and they will get through all those socks in 1 day. I used to take that many with me, but from my experiences, I know that I'm never going to blow through 2 socks in 1 day, especially with these Gore-Tex socks. I mean, it's just, I don't need it. So I know for a fact 4 socks for 2 days is plenty enough for me, and I probably won't even end up touching 2 pairs. Extra pair of underwear, always have them with you. One thing I suggest about underwear is get the dry fit material. For one, obviously, when you sweat, they will dry quickly. Another thing is for odors. You can wear a set of dry fit underwear for multiple days and be fine. And that might sound gross to some people, but the fact of the matter is, when you're a big hiker, on big trips, you just can't carry enough to change your clothes every day. So dry fit underwear is what I suggest. 2 pairs of those. So I have a pair on now, and I have an extra pair. That's what I'll take. And like I said, in this climate, you always need rain gear. So I have Gore-Tex top and bottom. rain gear. Never had a problem with them. They're really reliable. Always have rain gear. And me, I hate hoods. I hate having a hood up because when you're walking around, it just makes that sound, the material rubbing together. I really don't like it. So I have a Marmot waterproof hat. Might look a little silly, but it's just so much more comfortable than having your hood up, in my opinion. So I always carry that with me. That's part of my rain gear. So we'll get into our clothing. I have it laid out. This is basically, I'm not going to touch any of this. Hopefully you can see this. I'm not going to touch any of that until I'm actually at my camp, basically. So I have it laid out in two sets. This is my hiking clothes. So I have my dry fit skins, right? My skins, the material closest to my skin. Then I have a pair of thin gloves that I will definitely have on while I'm hiking. I have a buff. Anyone who doesn't know what a buff is, definitely suggest you get one. You can turn it into a million different things. It's a scarf, you know, it's a balaclava, you can turn it into a hat, you can do a million things with these. I definitely suggest you get a buff. Then I have my toque. Always have a toque. And then I have my shirt, which will go on the outside of my dry fit layer, right? So the dry fit layer is on underneath. Obviously it'll wick moisture, things like that. And then I like to carry a vest with me because when you're moving around and you're carrying a heavy pack, even though the temperatures are cold, you don't want to have on like a heavy sweater, because if you sweat in these type of temperatures, you get wet, and if you get wet, you know, you're at a high risk of hypothermia. You can really die out there. You know, it's not a joke. You really need to try your best to stay dry. So I usually rock a vest opposed to a full sweater while I'm out moving around. So then I'll get into my warmer kit for when I'm at camp and I'm not working so hard. I have a set of heavier Gore-Tex gloves. So they're much more warm and they are waterproof. And I don't care what anybody says. You know, I've tried basically all the gloves you could throw a stick at, but no matter how waterproof they are, they're still going to get wet. Your hands sweat. You know, every now and then you take your hands out of your gloves, you might do something, your hands get a little bit of moisture on them, you put them back in your glove, they get wet again. So it's always a good idea to carry two sets of gloves. So I have my inners, the thin ones, and those are my outers for extra warmth. Then I have my heavier sweater that I have with me. Right, so I could rock my vest and this heavier sweater to stay warm. I have my puffy, which is just a down jacket. This cuts back on having to take so much kit. You know, if you got your puffy, you're gonna be warm in, you know, the coldest of temperatures. And then I have a set of thermals. So some people will rock, you know, like merino wool, really, really warm thermals. In this kind of cold, wet climate conditions, I don't really think that, you know, they're worth it. They're too warm. So this is a dry fit material type thermal. So I'll normally wear these when I'm in my tent. When I'm sleeping in the sleeping bag, I'll wear my thermals if it's really cold. And the reason that they're dry fit opposed to wool is because if I get caught in some super cold weather, I can rock my thermals on my person while I'm moving around. And if I do happen to sweat a little bit, it's okay. It's a dry fit material. You know, they're water wicking. They will dry out much faster than wool. Okay. So next, let's move into the sleeping system. Get this out of the way. So this sleeping system is good. You know, I'd rock this right down to -25, -30, honestly, with what I have going on. So this, a couple of different words for this. You can call it a woobie, a ranger blanket. Essentially all it is bed sheets for your sleeping bag. So what that does is it keeps all your body's dirt from getting into your sleeping bag. And it adds extra warmth. Obviously it's just another layer. But the oils from your skin and all the dirt, if that gets in your sleeping bag, that can, believe it or not, reduce your sleeping bag's capability of holding heat. So that's what the purpose behind the woobie is. And I mean, it's a great piece of kit. It's like a nice little thin blanket. So get that out of the way. Then you have your sleeping bag. This sleeping bag is good to -20. more than enough for this kind of climate. Right? Everybody knows you need to have a sleeping bag with you. So this here, this is the bivy bag. Essentially what a bivy bag is it's like a rain jacket for your sleeping bag, right? So your woobie, your bed sheets for your sleeping bag will go down inside of your sleeping bag, and then your sleeping bag will go down inside the bivy bag. So the bivy bag is a waterproof layer for your sleeping bag. And on this trip I'm going to be sleeping in a tent, so I don't necessarily need it. I always like to have it with me for a couple of different reasons. One, if I ended up building a shelter and sleeping in a shelter for whatever reason, then I have this waterproof layer for my sleeping kit. Secondly, it just adds strength to my sleeping bag. You know, I have a German Shepherd, Bjorn, and he crawls all over me at night and his claws digging into the sleeping bag. I know that my sleeping bag isn't going to get ripped or torn. It just adds a little bit of durability to the sleeping kit. I always like to have it with me. I think it's a great piece of kit. And then you have, this is more important than your sleeping bag, more important than everything else you have in your sleeping system. If you don't have this, you're screwed. I don't care who you are. Nobody is sleeping on a frozen ground. You'll freeze to death without this. So there's a couple of different kinds. You can get the blow-up mattresses, which are great. Honestly, they're a lot warmer than these. I do have a couple of them, and they are a lot nicer. They're more expensive. However, they're not as durable as the foam. I like taking the foam when I have the dog with me because, again, it crawls all over this thing, his nails are digging in it, it's much more durable, and they're not as expensive, so you don't have to worry about throwing them around a little bit or throwing it down in the snow to use as a ski or throwing it on a set of rocks. So they're just more durable, and I kind of prefer to take these when I can. So this is just a sleeping mat. Right? It's like $30. It's called a Thermarest, a Sea-Light Thermarest. Folds up, relatively small. It's not too hard to pack away, and they're great because you can split it in half, use it as a seat. You sit down on it, nice and comfy, get you off the cold ground, and at night, just whip it out in your tent, and it's a pretty comfy mattress. Super important, you've got to get yourself up off the ground. Cold ground will suck every bit of heat out of you. You could have the best sleeping bag in the world, you will not make it through the night without some kind of barrier between you and the ground. And then, obviously, this is just a bag the whole sleep system goes into. It is a waterproof bag, so if you store it on the outside of your rucksack, you don't have rain or your bag down. So all your kids not going to get wet. Okay, moving on. Always have my axe with me. I always carry an axe. It's not a real big axe. I'd say I'd call it a medium axe. A little bigger than a hatchet. More than enough for me. And I have my saw. It's a foldable saw. You'll see it in this video for sure. Then my knife. This is a bigger knife than the one I carry on my person. I always have that with me. And I never used to carry beer spray, but I do now. We've had a couple of scenarios with coyotes, and I've never had a run with bears, but I have had some run-ins with some pretty aggressive moose. And this big 1,500-pound animal looking at me, it's nice to have this with you when you don't have a firearm, especially when you're all alone. So I do carry bear spray now. Okay, so I definitely recommend everybody carries a first aid kit, and don't just go out and buy a first aid kit and trust that everything is in it. Open it up, dig through it, familiarize yourself with what's in your kit, how to use what's in your kit, and not only that, add a few items that you may want. So, one thing I did add to my kit was the emergency blanket. Okay, it's kind of like a tinfoil blanket. Some people call it a space blanket. These are phenomenal. I've actually had to use one once, and I was completely blown away with how warm they really are. It's phenomenal, and you can use it. I don't know if you can see this or not. You can kind of build if it'll focus. Yeah, so you can use it as a tarp. I've never used it as a tarp because I always have a tarp with me, but I'm sure in a pinch you could build some kind of shelter out of this. So I always keep that inside of my first aid kit. Then I have a hygiene kit. So inside my hygiene kit, I basically just have like toilet paper, baby wipes, one of those little travel toothbrushes and toothpaste, and some deodorant. That's all that goes in there. Then I have my fire starting kit. Generally, I don't need to use this because I always have my fire steel on me, and 9 times out of 10 I get my fire going like that. However, inside here I do carry some like wet fire starters. I have some fat wood. What else is in there? And I have an extra thick lighter that I keep in a Ziploc bag for just emergency purposes. Right, then always have your cell phone. I'm pretty sure everybody out there has a cell phone. I always have that. One thing I would recommend is make sure your cell phone is at 100% battery before you go into the woods. And then when you get in the woods, unless you're someone who's taking a whole lot of selfies out there, keep your phone off. Try to keep it at 100% battery the best you can. It's, it can save your life for sure. Most times, I know in this province, you don't have cell service. But just having that peace of mind, knowing you have a cell phone in your pocket, it's 100% charged. If worse comes to worse, you can find a little clearing, get some cell service, and you can make a call. Okay? I never used to carry a power bank. This is a Helix power bank. I never used to have one because I kind of used to do my best not to use electronics when I'm in the woods because I just kind of, trying to enjoy the wilderness. But now that I'm making YouTube videos and using a camera, I had to get a power bank. So I have that. I have this nice little lantern. Totally a kick-ass lantern. I actually never used to really take it with me because I always made do with just a headlight. But now I take it with me for filming purposes. So when I'm in the tent at night, if I have a headlight on my head and I'm looking straight into the camera, you won't be able to see anything. So hopefully this will fix that problem. Then I have just a little multi-tool. I always have a multi-tool with me. Great to have. I have some extra batteries for the flashlights and for my Garmin GPS. So this is a Garmin 64 ST. It's a fantastic piece of kit. If I'm being completely honest with you, I don't really use the GPS that often. However, it has definitely served me in more than one occasions. I've gotten pretty good at just kind of knowing where I am and keeping like a mental map of where I'm going, even in places I've never been before. I think it's just something you get used to when you spend enough time in the woods. But having a GPS in your backpack, and a good one that has capabilities to communicate with people at home and use satellites, just gives you such a peace of mind, And if you're second guessing yourself, I'm after going on trails and going 10 kilometers in the wrong direction and then realizing, hey, I just added like half a day of hiking onto my trip. That didn't have to happen, and that's burning fuel, burning calories. You got to eat more food because of that. You're digging into your rations. Having a GPS will change all of that. Then I have, a little bit of extra paracord. Always have paracord on you. I keep a chem light. I always have a chem light. I find they're great, especially, if you're in deep woods and you end up having to get up in the middle of the night and you're getting more firewood and things like that. You can throw the chem light on your tent so you can see it from far away. But what I kind of started using chem lights for is if I'm having to do a lot of hiking at night, I'll stick the chem light on the dog's rucksack, on Bjorn's rucksack, so that I can see him, very clearly through the woods. And then just some more extra batteries. So this pouch, or this bag, is where I put all those items. I call this like my admin pouch. So all my flashlights, the GPS, the first aid kit, hygiene kit, all of that is stored nice and neat inside of this kit. So when I crawl in my tent at night, I can just pull that bag out, put it in the tent with me, and I have all these items next to me. I definitely recommend doing that. Keep your kit organized. I'm definitely one of those people. I'm not somebody who just grabs everything and stuffs it into a bag. I try my best to keep it organized. So then you have your grub bag, is what I call it. It's just where you put all your food. I don't need to go over, all the food I'm carrying with me right now because it's in the fridge. Essentially, the food you carry is always going to depend on the person. For me on this trip, I'm trying to take a lot of real food, so I'm going to try and cook. So I'm taking just like some supplies to make some soup. I always have protein bars on me. I always have some chocolate and some trail mix, some candy, things like that. Things that just really keep your sugar up, keep your energy up while you're moving. Chocolate is really big for me. I don't know about you guys, but when I do a lot of hiking, like a lot, if I'm punching 20-kilometer days and things like that, having some chocolate and some trail mix just to get in your system and get your sugars up and get your energy up really is a game changer. It turns me right around. It gives me a lot more energy. It keeps me going. So trail mix, generally, I'll keep a little bag of it on me, like in my pocket, or if your rucksack has those little pouches on the hip belt, I'll keep some trail mix in there, but I always have extra in the bag. Talking about food, if you're going on a 2-day trip, and you got, say, 6 full meals and then some snacks, I always have 2 or 3 extra meals in the bag because you never know. You could be out there and might just decide you want to spend an extra night, or you could get yourself in a scenario, like I said before, where you go 10 kilometers in the wrong direction and now you have to spend an extra night in the woods because you just ran out of time to get out. So have the extra food in your bag. I've even been in a scenario where I've come across other hikers who didn't carry enough food and they ran out, and you find this person in the middle of the woods who is like exhausted and has no energy left, and they ran out of food, and now you just can save somebody's life because of that. So my camera shut off. I lost you right before we get into the shelter, so let's go ahead and get into that now. I always have a tarp with me. You can get by with just a tarp. You can get by with nothing. I mean, I've been on lots of trips where I build shelters, but having a tarp, I definitely recommend it. At least a tarp. If you're not taking a tent, at a minimum, have a tarp with you. And I always have my pegs for the tarp just stuck down in the strap that keeps it all together. Just how I do it. Then I have my 2-man MSR Hubba Hubba tent. If I was going to recommend a tent to anybody in the world, it would be this one. This tent is so good, so good. Best tent I've ever owned. I swear by it. In a couple of years' time, when this tent, its lifespan is over, I will be buying the exact same tent again. I love this tent. The MSR Hubba Hubba 2-person. I have a 2-person because I have a dog. And a big one. So, and the tent does a couple different things for me. So I used to be the person who was more bushcrafty. I used to go out, build shelters, sleep in shelters all the time. I wouldn't even have a tarp with me. But ever since I got the dog, I do like having the tent for a couple of different reasons. One, I know when I wake up in the morning, the dog is going to be right there, right next to me. So when I sleep in shelters, I have this issue where if a moose walks through my camp, or there's a fox or some coyotes, he is like super protective and he goes straight for them. And luckily, every time it's happened, I've been awake to recall him. He has a really good recall. He comes back, no problem. But if I'm sleeping in a shelter and it's open and I'm solid asleep and something walks by the camp at night, he goes after it. I don't know what would happen if I'm not awake to recall him. So I prefer a tent now. However, on this channel, you will definitely see bushcraft. You will definitely see me going out building lean-tos, double lean-tos, wigwams, all different kinds of shelters. You will definitely see all that on this channel. Talking about that, if you want to see it, leave a comment below. Okay, so let's get into the kitchen. I carry an MSR reactor stove. So I've had Jetboils before. I prefer the reactor stove now because how this works, I'll just show you super quick. This is the actual stove part that just screws onto the fuel like that, And then this is convex. Okay, the stove is convex, and the pot is concave. You can probably hear Bjorn crying out in the other room, but I can't film this when he's in here. Okay, so this is convex, this is concave, so it goes actually up inside of the pot, right? The heat is actually covered in the pot. So wind and rain and, you know, snow and all this kind of stuff, it is not going to affect the heat coming from your stove. So you're saving fuel. The problem I have with Jetboils, where the flame is exposed, you know, I live on an extremely windy island. It's always affecting, it's not putting the stove out, but it's affecting the efficiency of the stove, right? Like you're losing heat. So I swear by this thing. I absolutely love it. I don't always use it with me. I don't always use it even though it's with me, because I definitely prefer having fires. You know, it's just my thing. I like to cook over fires. However, there's nothing better than waking up and it's, you know, super stormy, 100-kilometer-hour winds, rain's coming down, and you wake up and you can just boil yourself a coffee and cook yourself breakfast in that little vestibule in your tent. Kicks ass. I always have it with me. So what I use most of the time is my Billy pot. This is an all-in-one pot. You'll see it for sure in this video. So you just have the little lid. Then you have a plate. It's kind of more of like a bowl than a plate. So you have a bowl that just fits down here like this. And then inside I keep my spork and I keep my scrubby. So that's all down in one pot. Hopefully we're gonna make some delicious soup tomorrow in this. I'm no chef, but we'll see what I can do. And then lastly, I just have a Nalgene for water and this awesome Black Rifle Company thermos. I'm not sponsored. Black Rifle has absolutely no idea who I am, but I definitely support Black Rifle Company. If you support a veteran-owned company, if you support veterans in general, check these guys out. Support them, buy some gear from them. They're awesome. They have an awesome YouTube channel too. Just type in Black Rifle Company on YouTube and you'll have a good laugh. Okay, and then it's just my rucksack. Nothing special going on over there. So that concludes the gear guide. It was definitely informal. Hopefully you did learn something out of it though. If you want to see a more in-depth guide, if you want links to any of this gear, if you want me to like make a 20-minute video on the Garmin 64 ST, if you want anything, leave a comment in the comment section below and I will do it for you, okay? So, I'm going to pack all this away and I'll see you in the morning. Hey, how's it going? Back at you again with a 2-day video this time. Myself and Bjorn are going to do about 25 to 30 kilometers of hiking. This video we're going to just really kind of slow it down and enjoy camp life. Me and him, we've been really busy these last couple of weeks. We haven't had the chance to make a video. He's actually just recovering from a surgery. So this is his first time in the woods since then. So like I said, we're gonna take it, just gonna really enjoy camp life. We're still gonna punch a few kilometers. So yeah, stick around, come with us. The other thing is I just filmed a gear guide. So I had a few people ask me to just film a video on what I'm gonna take with me and why. So I did that. It's like 30 minutes long. So I'll try and fit it in this video. If I can't, I'll upload it separately. If you're interested, check it out. You know, if it is in this video and you don't really watch it, just skip it. It's all good. So yeah, back to you soon. East Coast Trail, this way. You ready? Come on, let's go. He's very ready. So guys, anyone who's a local, you'll probably know this trail. We're in Bay Bulls. We're doing the Spout Path Trail. So it's about 25-30K. We might not go all the way to the Spout. We might just try to find a cool little spot to
kind of take a few kilometers off the trail and get into the woods and set up camp. We may end up going to the spout tomorrow. We'll see what the weather is like. We're supposed to get a lot of rain, you know, snow. You know how the temperature fluctuates here. It's gonna be pretty miserable in terms of temperature, but we're still gonna have an awesome time. You know, this trail, it's so beautiful that it gets me every time. It doesn't matter how many times I've been here, I'm always blown away by the beauty. Just look at this. Those waves. It's a very windy part of the trail. Obviously, you're right on the coast, but it makes up for it in beauty. Absolutely. So we're heading all along the coast out to about that point. On the other side of that point, there's going to be a lighthouse. Really cool lighthouse. I don't think it's in use anymore, or it's definitely not in use anymore, but it's still beautiful. So we'll take a little break there, have a little snack, and we're gonna figure out what direction we're gonna go after that. Oh, good man. What are you gonna do with that now? You gonna carry that like 20 kilometers? Huh? You gonna take that 20 kilometers? I don't think so. So we're just stopped for a little break here now under this nice tree. The weather is like it'll rain for 10 minutes and then it will stop. The wind's picking up and then it's going down. So it's making filming very hard. And it's really hard hiking out here. I gotta say, the elevation change is drastic and the snow is, you know, it's knee deep in some places, ankle deep in others. So yeah, it's definitely hard going. He's trying to chew down some trees. But we're gonna ease our way into this. He hasn't hiked in a long time since his surgery. It's been about a month, maybe a little more. So I don't want to push really hard the first day and then he'll be like really sore, you know, when he wakes up in the morning he'll be limping around. So we're gonna ease into it the first day, kind of take the day to just climatize and get into the routine of being out in the woods again. Let your body ease into it. So that's the plan today. We're about halfway to the lighthouse. So I'm just gonna take a little break here and I'll see you when we get there. So we made it. We're at the lighthouse. You can check it out. It's just this old lighthouse. Bjorn's over there doing his thing. We got our rucksacks off right now, just kind of stretching it out, let the body recover a little bit. He's eating snow. What are you doing? So I have a minor problem. So Bjorn is recovering from surgery. So where his stitches were, the stitches are dissolved now, they're not there anymore, but he still has some exposed skin, and his rucksack is rubbing the skin raw. It's already red and bleeding a little bit. So I decided I was gonna take like 80% of his weight, have all of his water, some of his food. I'm putting it down in my rucksack now, and that's a tip that I have for anyone else out there who hikes with dogs, is you always need to be prepared to carry their weight. You always need to have space in your bag, and you always need to go out there with the mindset that if anything happens, you're carrying their gear. I've been in scenarios where I have to carry all of his gear and his rucksack. Hopefully I don't have to do that right now, because I'm hoping by taking most of the weight away, it will it'll fix all the rubbing, and it'll just fix that problem, hopefully. But yeah, just always be prepared to take their weight. You know, you need to look after them, absolutely. So right now we're just gonna eat some crackers, drink some water, recover a little bit, and then I'll take you for a walk up over this hill, show you where we're headed. Wish I could run like this with a rucksack on. So we are going way deep in the woods, that way. And I'm excited because we're gonna get away from the coast, get out of this wind, because the wind is kicking my ass right now. It's gonna be much warmer in there, much more protected. Then we're gonna find a nice spot to get a fire going. According to my GPS, there's no lakes or rivers for like 10 kilometers, which sucks. But we're gonna try to find one anyway, and worst comes to worst, we can just melt snow, and that will get us through tonight. So yeah, I'm gonna get some food in me, and then let's get in the woods. So we've been walking for a few hours, and we're having the problem that we can't find any solid ground. This time of year, there's like 3 feet of snow, and then under the snow there's like 3 or 4 feet of mud everywhere. So it's really difficult to find a good spot to set up camp. The woods is too thick in a lot of places, and then where there's an opening, the ground is really uneven. So it's starting to get to the point now, it's 2 o'clock in the day, that we're just gonna have to find a spot and make do. You know, it gets dark around 4:30, 5 o'clock here this time of year, so we're definitely at the point now where we're just gonna have to take what we got pretty soon. So we're gonna take a look up here, a little bit of higher ground. Higher ground hopefully means no mud, and check that out. Yep, mud. Oh wow, that's a problem. That's a real problem. We're gonna go up a little higher and see if it's the same. Not sure. Nope. Oh, wet feet. Got some wet feet. Please, 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 please be good to us. Please, please, please. It's not the best. Don't really feel like putting my tent right on this little peak. The ground is still wet too. we'll keep looking. So like I said, it definitely got to the point where we had to make do. Fortunately, we did find a little spot where there's no mud. So what we're doing now is we're gonna just walk around, pat all the snow down, try to make it as flat as possible for the tent. So much easier to do with snowshoes, but we don't have snowshoes right now. Bjorn, please don't dig a hole right there. So yeah, we're gonna go around, pat this down best we can, try to get it nice and flat. I'm probably gonna sacrifice my tarp and use it as like a footprint for my tent tonight, just because we're sleeping, you know, directly on the snow and there is still a lot of moisture underneath the snow. It'll be a lot warmer for us, and it will definitely stop the issue of any moisture coming up through the tent, which, you know, it generally doesn't happen, but it's just an extra step basically that could keep you a lot warmer at night. It's pretty disheartening to not find, you know, the best spot to set up and have a wide open area and have a big fire going. But you know, the reality of it is, guys, you're not always going to find the perfect place, and there's going to be a lot of times for people who hike frequently, and especially people who go in places they've never been before. Like, I've never been in this part before ever. This is just bushwhacking essentially, way off trail now. And when you go off trail and you start bushwhacking, you're definitely going to find yourself in scenarios where you just can't find, you know, a place that you envisioned you would be staying. That's the reality of it. There's lots of ups and downs to hiking, and it's all about how you deal with it up here, right? So we're going to make the best that we can. We're going to pat the snow down. We're going to get our tent up. We are going to get a fire going, and we're going to eat some soup, and we're going to have a big nap in the tent. He's trying to help. He's kind of making it worse, but he's trying. Okay, so we got the ground as flat as we can. Now we're going to quickly whip up our shelter, the tent. last thing you want to do is just go around, make sure everything's nice and tight. And something I do before I crawl in for the night is I just take one little walk around, check all my pegs, make sure everything's nice and tight in the ground, check all the strings. That's all there is to it. So the next thing I like to do is get all of my kit inside of the tent, get my bedroll laid out, because if you have a down sleeping bag, you want to actually have your sleeping bag out for at least a half hour before you get in the tent, even though I won't be getting in the tent for much longer than that. You want to give it time to loft up, right? Because once it lofts up, that's when it has all that airspace to contain heat. So I get all my kit inside, keep it safe in case the weather changes, and then we're gonna get on getting some firewood and getting a fire going. Okay, so right now I have about 2 hours of daylight left. The tent is set up, all of my gear is put away, everything is nice and tidy. The next thing we need to do is get a fire going right away so that I can warm up and we can cook some food. So I talked about my saw in the gear guide. I didn't show you how to put it together. I'm going to do that now. So it all goes inside of the handle, essentially, right? You just unscrew the bottom, just a wing nut. Take that off. Okay, comes out. Saw blade is inside, so then you have a hole here and a hole down at the bottom. This part's a little bit finicky. They need to go in there essentially simultaneously for it to fit properly. That can be a little bit difficult to do. Okay, so the screw goes in at the same time as the handle. After that, all you do is screw on this wing nut. I'm missing like a washer that's supposed to go on this, but I mean, I've had this for years and it doesn't make a difference. Screw that on, not too tight, just tight enough. Boom, you have your saw. I love this thing. A Sven saw, Sven. I don't know if that will focus or not. Anyway, if you want to see a link to this, you can find it at mech.ca. For us Canadians, you can go to mech.com if you're ordering in the States. They sell these. They're awesome. They're like $30 Canadian. It's lasted me years already. Highly recommend one. So guys, just to show you how muddy and bad this place really is, I was just walking around getting some firewood, stepped on some snow, and went waist deep in freezing cold water. Check this out. That's the puddle. This is my camera stand, right? It goes up to about my chest. Check that out. I just went right down in there, completely soaked, up past my knee. That's the kind of terrain we're in right now. Those things happen. all you can do is laugh at it. Bjorn just went down there too. All you can do is laugh at it. You know, it is what it is. I brought Gore-Tex socks. I have thermals I can put on under these pants. We're gonna be okay. I can change my socks, put the Gore-Tex socks on here now in a minute. It's all good. It's all part of it. So we're just processing some wood. We're getting some logs. After that, I got to try to find a dry tinder bundle around here somewhere. It's gonna be difficult. Bjorn, you're throwing snow all over the tent, man. Hey, give that up. Go do something else. Go on. It's gonna be difficult because it's been raining these last couple of days, and then during the night it'll get down to like -20 and everything freezes. But if you know where to look, you can find some, like underneath some thick spruce trees. Hopefully I will find something. I just got to finish processing some logs and then we'll get on top of that. Okay guys, so we're gonna go ahead and try and light the fire. I had to put you away for a while there because we actually got some freezing rain. Yeah, I've definitely been more confident with my materials when it comes to fire lighting before, but we're gonna give it a go. I looked around and I found the driest wood I could find. So I built my platform, which is essential. I think I mentioned this in my first video. So I have 2 layers. Then I went and I found some birch bark as tinder. Then I have a whole bunch of twigs here for my initial fuel, like a tinder bundle. Then I have some smaller size twigs to really get it going, just some smaller fuel. And then we have more logs. So we're gonna give it a go, see if we can get it light, get it lit, and if we fail, we'll do it again. And you know, worst comes to worst, I have the Jetboil. We can hunker down in the tent. If the weather really gets nasty here soon, which it does look like it's coming, we can get inside the tent and we can just, you know, heat up some food, heat up a coffee. And that's the beauty of having either a Jetboil or a reactor stove with you, right? So it's great for emergency purposes. Okay, we'll give this a shot. Come on now, don't knock this out. Bjorn? I'm nervously excited. Come on, please. If I can get a big fire going tonight. I spoke too soon. If I can get one going, we can have soup, hot soup. Ooh. Go away. My boots are like 2 cinder blocks. Frozen. Come on, baby. This stuff is still very wet. It's as dry as I can find. Oh, that heat is so nice. Oh. Oh my God, the heat is so good. Just because I have fire right now does not mean it's stable. It does not mean it's here to stay. As soon as I blow through these twigs, you know, it could be gone. So, fingers crossed for now. That heat is so nice. All I can think about is bringing out my little foam mattress and sitting down and drying out my feet right now. And my pants. You know, guys, cold weather is hard to get through no matter what kind of gear you have, but the hardest weather to get through, in my experience, is cold, wet weather. Not just when it's really cold, that's fine. You can just dress warm and you'll be okay. When it's wet cold, you know, you have all these pockets of water underneath the snow, you have no idea where it is, you go down, you get soaking wet. It's on and off, freezing rain. It's exceptionally harder to get through than just cold temperatures. And the heat of this fire is so good I could cry. So amazing. I just need to keep it. That stuff's really wet. Come on. If you blow air into the base of the fire, you know, you're feeding the fire obviously needs oxygen, you're feeding it oxygen, you're giving it a boost of heat. It's a little trick. You know, it's so hard to get around here and gather firewood because everywhere I go like 3 feet deep in water. You can't see it. It doesn't look like it's here because it's all snow. But you're just walking around, minding your own business, and then whoosh, you know, you're knee deep or waist deep in water. It's brutal. Look at that beauty. I so desperately want this fire right now. Okay, I'm gonna keep working on this. I'll get back to you soon. Okay, so we're back. Update on the fire. It is good to go so far. Knock on every piece of wood I can find that it stays. Okay, so we had a busy couple of minutes. We got this going. We gathered a little bit of extra dry twigs. We ran like 300 meters to get some water, ran 300 meters back, and now it's go time. Try and cook some soup ASAP before it gets too dark and before the nasty weather gets here. So let's get it on. Let's get it on. First things first, this is a grub bag, right? we're in a bit of a rush, so I apologize. I'm not like walking you through each step and doing lots of close-up shots, but we are in a rush right now. So I don't even have time to build like a nice frame to hang the pot off of. So last night I cut up 2 carrots, 3 potatoes, and a full onion. I got that bag ready to go. Where is it? Where is it? I also, look out, you'll get your supper soon, man. Cut up some steak. So, I can also hear coy wolves out in the distance. For anybody who doesn't know what that is, that's a cross between a coyote and a wolf. We have coyotes here in Newfoundland that are bigger than Bjorn. You know, 100, 110 pounds. And they're everywhere. I can hear them. You'll probably hear them soon too. Okay, we gotta find our oil. Down in the bag somewhere. One of those. Yep, boom, found it. Okay, a little bit of oil in the pot. Oh yeah, there's coy wolves everywhere. Are you recording or are you not recording? Okay, you're recording. Hey, I need your stick for a minute. This is totally the lazy way to do it. I hate doing it like this, but you know, sometimes you just don't have a choice. I like to make a frame to hang my pot on. They're getting close. You're not getting any of my steak though. Right, buddy? You're not getting any of our steak. We'll eat coyote before they eat our steak. If I don't catch on fire first. All right. Woo, hot. Cook that up. Hey, come here. Don't worry about that. Probably gonna want a little bit more oil down in there. I don't want to burn the life out of the pot, so okay. That is a very hot fire, and I'm so happy that it's here. So happy that it's here. Oh. I still have really cold socks. I didn't have a chance to change my socks yet. Check this out. Carrot, potato, onion. Ooh, baby, it's gonna be so good. And then, when this is done, we can crawl inside the tent, change our socks, read our book, hang out. Probably get in a fight with a few coyotes tonight. I'm pumped. Love it. Whew, baby. That is a hot fire. Okay, let's stay organized here. Now I'm starting to rush. we have some sausage and we have some ham for later. Oh, it's gonna be so good. Okay, I'm gonna cook this meat. When I go to add the vegetables in the water, I'll get you back on. Okay, so it's kind of the best angle I can get. We have the meat seared. Now we're gonna go ahead and add some water. There's probably people out there who are, you know, good cooks, and you're looking at what I'm doing and you're just shaking your head. But I'm no professional. I'm definitely no professional. Look out. I probably should have added the vegetables first, huh? Now I'm probably gonna overfill with water. But we'll see. We will see. Get all that in there. Oh yeah, that is like probably way, not probably, definitely way too much. But we are gonna roll with it because it's gonna be like 3 meals. I'm not gonna add the beef bouillon cubes yet. I'm just gonna boil that away for a while. Now I need to be careful with it overflowing. I need to be very careful with that overflowing because I don't want to doubt my fire and I don't want to lose any food. So guys, I'm almost out of battery. Unfortunately, I don't have a spare battery. I only have a power bank with me. I have limited equipment because I'm just getting started. And yeah, so hopefully I don't lose you here within the next couple of minutes, at least until the soup is done. But if I do, the next time you'll see me, we'll be inside of the tent, we'll have the soup done, we'll be changing socks, getting cozy, things like that, and feeding Bjorn. I like to feed Bjorn right before we go to bed because he likes to run around essentially right until it's time to go to sleep, and I don't want him throwing up any food because we have obviously limited rations. So I've learned my lesson. I feed him right before bed. It calms him down and I know he's not going to throw it up. We have freezing rain coming down right now. Okay, show you what we have going on here now. Bjorn's eating his steak. Aren't you? Yeah, you got a nice big juicy steak. That's your supper. And our soup, it's coming along. It is coming along. Let's take a look. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, look at that. That is one hearty bowl of soup. That would feed 3 people. But it's gonna feed me 3 times. So, let me see if I can talk to you with the headlight on. Put it sideways. That's that. So it's turning into kind of a beautiful night. We had some snow there for a little while and then some freezing rain. During the panic of trying to cook and feed him and just trying to get all straightened away before dark. But now that the night is here, the temperature has dropped significantly as per normal. And the wind has died. It's a beautiful night, really. It's kind of like the calm before the storm, I guess I'll say. We have a moon. I don't know if you can pick the moon up. Yeah, we have a nice moon. We have some stars starting to come out. Beautiful sky. Look at the camp. Have the tent. think we're in for a pretty good night. I'm just gonna finish cooking my soup. So the next time you'll see us, we'll be in the tent now. Getting straightened away for bed. It's only early, it's only like 5:30. It just gets, it's probably not even 5:30, it just gets dark so early. I don't hear the coyotes anymore either. So they either smelled us and boogied off or heard us. Whatever, they're gone. They're not getting any of my soup, I'll tell you that. They are not eating any of my soup. Alright, peace. It's pretty hard to see me now with my breath in the cold, but we're inside of the tent. My socks are changed. I'm feeling so much better. Now we're just sitting back and I'm drinking soup, listening to the crackle of the fire. It's beautiful. Just have a look at my view. Hey, get your nose out of that. I think we are in for a very, very cozy night. I'm really looking forward to tonight's sleep. I'm gonna read some books. I'll read some of my book and just take it easy. Eat some crackers after I drink that mountain of soup. Yeah. It was a good day. It's a good night. It was a challenging one. And we were definitely up for it today. So Bjorn's listening to all the creatures that are awake at night. He never really truly sleeps in the woods. He's always kind of half awake, you know, he's always listening to what's out there. And I'll wake up 2 or 3 times throughout the night to him growling and huffing and puffing. He's funny. He's a funny guy. Just look at that fire. I can't get over this fire. Look how beautiful that is. Incredible. Anyway, once we get a little more organized in here, I'll try to set the camera up and we'll have a chat then. Yo! So, we are inside the tent. He's curious who I'm talking to. I'm talking to the camera, man. You're all tensed up. So, I'm changed into my jammies. I got... Check this out. This is gonna make filming so much nicer. I got that lantern on a carabiner, hanging it from the ceiling. Super good. Had some soup. There's so much soup left. If anyone's hungry, come on in. So now we're gonna make my pillow. I'm gonna show you how I make my pillow. Sorry, it's kind of hard to get a good angle. That's kind of best I can do. So I take my puffy jacket, I fold that up, and then I stuff that inside of my heavy sweater, like so. Along with the outer shirt I had on, and wherever my vest went, right there. I stuffed that inside too. Zip it all up. Bam. You can tuck the arms down inside of the top here. Look at that. That is a better pillow than the ones I have home. Boom, got my pillow all straightened away. Let me show you what I have going on inside of here. So, I have everything nice and organized. Let's start at the outside actually. So I have my reactor stove and my thermos is here, so I can get a quick boil going in the morning, have some coffee, or if I wake up half froze, I can do that. My boots, basically 2 ice blocks, is what it is. I have a bunch of soup left. So then I have the admin pouch, the grub bag. I have the knife and the beer spray close by in case anyone's feeling froggy out there. The isobutane, I keep that off of the cold ground because it's fuel and it just keeps it a little bit warmer. That's my power bank. I store my power bank inside of a sock so it doesn't get beat up inside of my rucksack. Then I have 2 things of water. Now this is the skins. This is the clothes I had on. See, I'm talking as if you watched my gear guide, so I hope that you guys watched my gear guide. This is my skins. This is the clothes I had on closest to my body, so it's a little bit damp. That's not going to be a part of my pillow. That's staying out to dry. Boom. There's my socks that are like 5 pounds each now. They're drying off, as well as my gloves. Whew, coming down this side, but bam, check that out. Check this little light out. How neat, huh? So, then I have my book over here next to my head and my headlight. Let's have a quick chat about the book. So, this book is called Man and Dog Through the Newfoundland Wilderness by Justin Barber. If you don't know who Justin Barber is, any of my subscribers, please go subscribe to this guy. He's amazing, honestly. He's so cool. He's a pioneer here in Newfoundland when it comes to like the wilderness YouTube channels. This guy spent 68 days alone in the wilderness with just him and his dog. They went from one end of the island to the other. He hiked something like 700 kilometers, hiked and used his pack raft. I've learned a lot from this guy, honestly. He's really down to earth. He's really cool. Every time, I message him, he gets back to me. Really cool dude. I learned a lot from him, and honestly, he inspired me to make my own YouTube channel. So please go check out Justin Barber, buy his book, subscribe to his channel. He's a cool dude. Anyway, so yeah, that's pretty well it. That's what we have going on. And Bjorn, you're getting fed up with me talking, aren't you? You're like, dude, let's just go to sleep, man. Why are you still awake? What's this camera doing in my face, bro? What's this camera doing in my face, man? I know, it's kind of new. It's new to me too, Bjorn. It's new to me too. I don't know what I'm doing either. I don't know what's going on either. All right. Let's see if I can get you set back up. I'm gonna have a little bit more soup before it gets cold, and it's still nice and hot, and it's delicious. Look at that. Oh my god, isn't that so good? All that's in here is, I'm sorry dude, I would totally give you some, but there's onions in it. So he had a big steak anyway. All that's in here is potatoes, carrots, onion, water, and then beef bouillon cubes. I put 2 cubes in initially. Then my pot tipped over, which I didn't get on film, and that was lots of fun. Lost all my water. So I had to go get more water, fill the pot up again, and then I put 1 cube in. That's all I had left. and it came out delicious. Absolutely. Oh, and there's beef in here. So good. I wish I could share it with you. I wish I could just be like, yep, here you go. Boom, here's some food. So yeah, I'm gonna eat some more soup. Then we're just gonna lay back, read a book, turn the lights off, you know, preserve some battery. This old boy here. He's my best friend in the whole world right here, Bjorn. You're my best friend in the whole world, buddy. Yeah, I love ya. Bjorn is almost 4 years old. It's crazy how fast the time goes. I wanted a German Shepherd my whole life. My whole life. And then I finally got one when I was just turning 21. Bjorn came along. And honestly, he's the best thing that ever happened to me. Not to get all soft on you guys, but he really is. I used to do a lot of hiking and a lot of bushcraft all by myself. I didn't have any friends who were into this type of stuff. I still don't really. I don't have any friends. All my friends say they want to go camping, but when it comes time to it, no one really wants to go. So this boy right here never says no. He's always up to go out in the woods. And he's so protective, he's so loyal, he doesn't need to be on a leash, he stays with me all the time. It's a good dog. It's a really good dog. Just recovering from surgery, he had 3 tumors. And they were benign, luckily. But they're gone now. And he handled it really well. He's healed really well. He's a tough boy. Real tough boy. Okay, we're all tucked away now. Ready to go to sleep. You definitely will not see us again until the morning. It's really cold now. Okay, I'm crawling in my bag and going to sleep. Aren't we? Good night. Good morning. It was so cold last night. It's cold this morning too, but it was really, really cold last night. Hey, come here. It was actually one of the first times Bjorn here slept in the sleeping bag with me for most of the night. Got really cold, didn't it? So it's you can get pretty lazy in the winter. You know, it's hard to get up and get things done where it's so cold. Your body just feels like staying in the sleeping bag and just not doing anything, but you can't do that. You need to get up, you need to get going, you gotta get things done. You can't let yourself get lazy. So we're up. First things first, we're gonna boil some coffee. We're gonna get some trail mix and some protein bars in us. Start the metabolism, start creating some heat, you know, get all that going. And then we'll figure out what's gonna happen for today. Unfortunately, where the ground is so wet, a lot of water did actually come up through my tarp and through my tent, which is great. So my Ranger blanket is wet. I ended up giving that to Bjorn last night because it was so cold that I had to sacrifice some of my heat for him. Check this out. See all this water I don't know if you can really pick that up or not, but that's all soaking wet now. And we got pretty wet, didn't we? But that is all part of the fun, right? So, check this out. This is cool. That's my, wow, there's actually a spider. That is insane. Check that. What are you doing out here, man? Much too cold for him. I don't know why he's out. Okay, we're gonna get some coffee going. Let's do it. So, isobutane stove or fuel. Get my stove. Okay, it's just 2 pieces. Screw it right onto the stove. Like this. Bam. Then I want to get some water down in here. I'm probably drinking two pots of coffee this morning. Because it's just that cold. Okay, check this guy out. You can't see, but that's actually lit right now. Yeah. Oh yeah, that's lit. Cool. Now in 1 minute's time, we will have hot coffee. You can feel it heating up the tent. Obviously you can't use it as a heater because it's toxic fumes, but it's fine to do a quick boil. Yeah. So we finished our breakfast. I drank like 3 cups of coffee, trying to warm up a little bit. Then we did dishes. I saved you all the boredom of packing my rucksack and all that, so we're on the move now. It's a little bit easier walking around this morning because of all the freezing rain we had last night and then the severe temperature drop. So the ground, at least for now, is hard packed, and it's making walking much nicer for me and Bjorn. I made a mistake, you guys. I made a mistake, and I'm not too proud to admit it. I still make mistakes, same as I think we all do from time to time, and that's in my choice of footwear. I brought Gore-Tex hiking boots, which I wear normally all year round. However, in the type of terrain we're in right now, it definitely turned out to be a mistake, and not bringing like some rubber boots instead, or a much higher top boot, because when Gore-Tex boots get wet, they stay wet. They're very hard to dry off, right? And because I was going, literally, not even exaggerating, waist deep in water yesterday, they're soaking wet, and they're like 2 ice blocks. Even though I had them laid next to the fire last night, it doesn't matter. They take a very long time to dry. So it's kind of like walking around on 2 ice blocks right now. Lots of fun, but that's part of the game. Just gotta suck it up and carry on. So right now we're just gonna look for a better camp spot today. Somewhere where we can have a real fire, some stable ground, have a more enjoyable night. So yeah, try and get some cool footage of hiking. Hopefully we see some gorgeous scenery. Yeah, Bjorn's all happy to be moving around. He actually slept in the sleeping bag last night, which was crazy. It was the first time he ever did it. We've been on hundreds, literally hundreds of hiking trips together. We spent hundreds of nights in that tent, and he's never wanted to be wrapped up in a blanket or in a sleeping bag, ever. He likes the cold ground. In fact, I bought him his own sleeping pad and his own sleeping mat when he was young, and he never used it, so I gave it to a friend. Oh shit, more water. But yeah, last night he slept in the sleeping bag, and that was great because it kept me warm. It kept me warm for sure. That was nice. Hopefully he does the same tonight. So we'll just carry on here now, see where we can get. Hopefully I get some cool shots for you soon. What an incredible view. What do you think? Dude, why don't you just walk on the side, man? He opts to get full of mud for no reason. I'm just walking on the side. He goes right through like 2 feet deep of mud. Maybe he's just way tougher than me. So we found a little burp right in my face. Jesus. So we found a batch of trees here to get us out of the wind so that I can speak. The wind has picked up significantly out there. The weather's starting to turn again. So I was looking through my footage, guys, and it's gonna be a very long video, especially including the gear guide. And I feel like I'm gonna kind of lose interest after 25-30 minutes. I feel like that's kind of the golden number for YouTube videos. At least it has been for me as a viewer. So I'm gonna close this video out here now, opposed to pushing through another full day. I'll head back. I have like another 10 kilometers to go before I'm out of here. So I'll head back, I'll edit this video as fast as I can, I'll get it out to you guys, and then I'm looking for some constructive criticism. I want to know what you liked about this video, what you didn't like. You know, maybe you want to see more footage of us hiking, maybe you want to see more like camp life kind of footage around the tents or shelters, or maybe you want me to be like paparazzi and just follow around this crazy dog over here. and get lots more footage of him. Whatever it is you want, let me know and I'll try to come through with it. So it's been a long break between my last video and this one because he's recovering from surgery, but he's good to go now. So we're gonna push out another video as soon as possible. This one coming is gonna cater more toward bushcraft. So I'm thinking we're gonna go out with limited gear for a one-nighter. We're gonna build probably a double lean-to type shelter so we can have a fire on the inside. And yeah, so if you want to see that, go ahead and subscribe, hit the notification button so you know when it comes out. Other than that, guys, leave a like, and like I said, drop down some comments and let me know what you thought. And we'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Peace.